Hello and welcome back to the channel once again. My name is Andy and today we're back with yet another part of the Classic Cars and Motorsport series, and as you can see from the screen on there just now, it is the 1977 Lotus Type 78 powered by that Ford Cosworth V8 that we spoke about last week when discussing the 49. So we're going to get into the importance of this car in a moment, because obviously this car did cause quite a stir back in the late 70s and changed the way that we look at the aerodynamic side of things in regards to F1 and single-seater cars today. But first of all, as always, thank you very much for watching. Of course, if you do like the video you're watching, do hit the like button once you are finished watching. Comment below, what do you like about this car? Do you have any memories from this car? Maybe you've seen it at an event, a historic event, maybe at Goodwood or something like that. What strikes you about this car? Leave that in the comments below. Also hit the subscribe button, and so that you don't miss out on any videos from myself, do hit the bell icon as well. I know that this week coming, obviously it's Le Mans, so there's going to be another video up before the weekend which is going to cover the Le Mans 24 hours in some description, so do look out for that as well. But back to this car in question, the Type 78 Lotus car. It's obviously coloured in the black and gold GPS John Player Special livery, the cigarette branding. Obviously sponsorship was a big thing by this point now. After we went through it last time, where the first time you seen cigarette sponsorship was on the Lotus 49 we spoke about last week, which was the gold leaf, gold, cream and red colours. Now, unlike the 60s and this early part of the 70s, where the likes of Graham Hill, Jim Clark, Jochen Rindt and Emerson Fittipaldi had taken championship titles for Lotus, the following years from 72, when Fittipaldi won, had been quite barren years. Fittipaldi left, went to McLaren, won another championship. Ferrari had came back along. Even the Hesketh team with James Hunt had started getting in and amongst the mix a little bit as well for race wins. Tyrrell was about as well. So Chapman and Lotus had started falling a little bit back. And Chapman has always been the innovative person he was always looking for his next advantage. So the team's 72 that took Fittipaldi at the championship in 1972 was now on its way out. They had designed the 77 for the 1976 season, but it was seen as a bit more of a stopgap more than anything. The 76 had been a bit of a failure and the 72 was now too old. So Chapman created a document around about 27 pages detailing his ideas on low drag air penetration. This was taken up you looking at things from the aerospace industry, the flip opposite of what an aeroplane's wings do, reversing it to obviously keep the car on the ground. And he handed this to his design team, which was led by Tony Rudd, chief designer Ralph Bellamy, as well as Martin Ogilvie and aerodynamicist Peter Wright. And they tried to put the ideas into practice, looking through some ideas, using wind tunnel examples, stuff like that. Wright and Rudd had actually had some experience. BRM had started this back in the early 70s when those two were at the team, but due to funding it never got any further than that. And they brought those sort of ideas and took it to the wind tunnel, using F1 body shapes, using the sort of shape that the 77 had begun, and put it on the rolling roads. And the faster the rolling road was going, the more the numbers went up, and then almost by happy accident in a sense, when they noticed that the numbers went off the scale at one point almost, and it was like, okay, we've kind of stumbled on something. And what that was is they had got along the idea from the Bernoulli principle, which is high pressure air from the outside going round the car and making the pressure of the air being low pressure under the car and making it go faster by sucking it to the ground more and more and more. And it was bringing up incredible numbers, because they had basically made the car as like a big wing. And then what they'd done was they started attaching bits to the side of the model, which was the beginning of what is known now as skirts, on cars, and it sealed the pressure so that the low pressure couldn't leak out. It had to be forced out the back, and what it does would just really suck the car to the ground even more. So you could put maximum downforce on the car with minimum drag effect, and that is almost like an aerodynamicist's wet dream, basically. And they kind of stumbled upon that, so they went with it. Chapman gave them carte blanche to go ahead with it, and during 1976, the 78, the car was ready, and driver that year, Mario Andretti, he wanted it out ASAP. He basically said it was stuck to the road like it was painted to it, is what he used to say. But Chapman wanted to keep the car secret a bit longer. He didn't want rivals getting a head start for the following season, so kept hidden, tested it in secret. And what ended up happening was that they revealed the car in 77, and in that year, although it didn't quite take the championship, it did take 5 wins, 4 of them for Andretti, with the other one being for Gunnar Nielsen, who was in the car in 77. But this was just the beginning. The 78 season started with a few wins apiece for Andretti and new teammate Ronnie Peterson, before it was replaced by the 79. And the 79, the way it was described was the 79 was as far ahead of the 78 as the 78 was ahead of the rest of the field. So the 78 started the principle, and the 79 almost in a sense perfected it for Lotus, and they ran away with the championship in 1978. Andretti taking his driver's championship from that year, and obviously the skirts and everything, they hid it underneath. It was all underneath the car, so no one could see it. And trying to put it into principle in the wind tunnel was very tricky for some of the teams to figure out what was going on. And the Lotus were a master of disguise. They would pretend it was some sort of brand new clever trick differential, and every time the car came into the pits they would cover up the back end to stop people being able to see it, whereas all along it was always there. They never hid what was actually causing it because you couldn't generally see it. But they tricked the teams into believing it was something else. Eventually other teams would get to grips with skirts before they ended up getting outlawed due to the increase in speeds in the early 80s. I even seen the likes of the Brabham bringing out the fan car, which was just obviously a massive fan designed to just suck the car to the road. That raced once and then got removed. Never got banned. Bernie Ecclestone removed it to avoid backlash from the other teams, because he was trying to get in to the political side of F1 at that time, and he didn't want the teams going against him. In total, it raced 33 times the 78 between its outings as a full-on Lotus car, as well as being outsourced for a privateer team as well. 7 wins, 9 poles, 7 fastest laps. Doesn't sound like very much, but on its day it was in an untouchable car, and it was just another example of Lotus being ahead of the curve when it came to new design and technology. The 78 would make one final appearance for Lotus at the 1978 Italian Grand Prix. Nielsen damaged his car in practice, a 79 chassis. The spare chassis 79 was designed for Andretti, and Nielsen couldn't fit in the car, so the other car they had that they had carried around with them was a spare 78, but it had not been race ready, so they had to hurry it ready. It hadn't been set up, it was just there in case of need. Swede would take 5th in the grid, but due to a whole load of issues at the start, he got caught up in a crash at the start. His car caught fire. James Hunt, Clay Regazzoni, Patrick Depaille pulled him out of the wreckage. He had severe leg injuries, to which Hunt even stopped him from looking down, not to distress him any further. But he wasn't seen to be in danger, as Vito Brambilla was seen as being in more danger at that time. But when he was at hospital, he took a turn for the worse during operation, and unfortunately passed away the following morning. It was the same day Andretti clinched his title, so bittersweet moment for Andretti, and a sad moment for the team, and obviously a sad ending for what is a great car in the history of motorsport. But it did bring about huge change in the sport, and what we're going to do today is take it on. I've done a 3-lap last the first challenge this time round, because I'll be honest, it took a number of attempts to do this one. and we're going to take it around Long Beach. Now, I know the Long Beach layout in Project Cars 2 is not the same as it was in 1977, where the car took its debut win at the hands of Mario Andretti. We're going to take it round there for today's last to first style challenge, and we're going to see how far we can get up, and I'll talk about how the car feels as well while I was driving it as well, because despite all the bits about it being glued to the road, I don't know if that quite portrayed to myself, but we'll come to that in a moment. But let's get down to the track. So, on the grid at Long Beach with the 5 lights on, and we are away, and 32 cars to contend with, all Lotus 78s. And this took me a good number of attempts, because despite it being, as Andretti put it, painted to the road, I didn't find that. I found this car so twitchy, so nervous, that as I just cut across the garden there, to be honest, it just didn't matter what I did, the car wanted to slide at low speed. Maybe it's because it's a street track, low speed, so it's not got the advantages of being able to get up to high speed to stick to the ground as much, maybe, I don't know, but it was very, very twitchy, this car, and very hard to control. Just couldn't get it turned in. I had the downforce cranked up and everything. It was just not the most enjoyable. You can see, just try to get the power down, and this isn't a turbo either, so there's no turbo lag. It's not like that. It's the V8 DFV Cosworth engine, so it's a naturally aspirated engine, and I just struggled with it. But we're coming around to the end of the first lap anyway at Long Beach. The annoyance of the AI going really slow when they're bunched up. You can see in the replay though, it does look fantastic going around here in the sunshine, in the black and gold, and across the line for the end of one lap. And I know it's coming up here because obviously I raced, of course, but caught a little bit in a wee second here as we go round the roundabout after hitting the wall once and punting him out the way. So I got caught there, just caused a pile up. So yeah, not the brightest, but the car changed F1. The car's design changed F1 at that time. Just massive differences came about. The skirts were huge for a few years. The effects that you got on them were just incredible. Downforce numbers that people say were just unbelievable to comprehend for that time, and it was unknown territory for everyone involved, so it was really, really different. They only kicked around for about, I think it was about 4 years or so before they got banned. Just when cars did take off, if they got a bit of air under them, they flew, because it was literally an aeroplane wing. Now, the bit of air got under them, they could no longer suck down to the road. It just took off massively. So it wasn't long before they got banned, like most things, but it changed the way cars were designed, and the aerodynamics came even more the focus of attention than what they already were. Obviously Lotus started that as well with the 49, as we discussed last week, so really, really innovative team was Lotus with Colin Chapman, so really, really huge. We're on the last lap of this 3-lap challenge, and despite having caused a traffic jam, they've already caught me up. That's how much they're trying. There you go, look, getting on the power, and even at its low speed, I just can't get it to do what I want. Just runs wide, just really struggling with it at all. But we're coming round again, so it is going to be the end of the video once again. If you did like to hit the like button, hit subscribe and the bell icon as well. Comment below what you liked about this car, what you do like about it, what you remember about it as well, as I said from earlier on. Next week we look at the last of the Lotus F1 cars, and that is going to be the 1985 98T turbo car. Going to have a bit of fun turning the boost up in that. But that is it for this week. Thank you once again for watching, and until the next video, I'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.